The dawn sun poured mellow gold across Riverside Middle School's empty soccer field, painting every blade of grass while sleepy sparrows chirped above the metal bleachers. Coach Ramirez, tall and stern yet secretly kind, walked the sideline with a clipboard, tapping his whistle against it like a ticking clock that hurried thoughts along. Tryouts were today for the upcoming regional tournament, and he vowed to build the strongest squad the school had ever seen, one that could finally lift the shiny silver cup. Students in colorful jerseys soon jogged onto the field, laughter mixing with nervous whispers as they stretched, tied shoelaces tight, and dreamed of making the final roster. Among them was Jamal Carter, a quiet sixth grader with scuffed sneakers, a hand-me-down jersey, and a shy smile that hid beneath a mop of curly hair and huge, hope-filled eyes. Jamal loved soccer more than recess snacks, but in last year's matches he had been clumsy, tripping over the ball, so classmates labeled him the weakest player on the team. His best friend Luna encouraged him each lunch break, yet even she sometimes worried he might freeze under pressure when the coach's eyes felt like searchlights sweeping a nighttime beach, scanning for any wobble. Jamal carried a secret nobody except his grandmother knew. Hours at dawn spent dribbling around cracked chalk lines in his apartment's parking lot, perfecting every gentle touch. He practiced with a deflated ball to strengthen control, balanced empty water bottles on his toes for precision, and raced his shadow until sunrise painted the sky orange. Those hidden sessions stitched quiet confidence inside him, but he feared revealing his talent too soon might draw teasing before he felt truly ready to shine, so he kept victories secret. The whistle shrieked, snapping daydreams, and Coach Ramirez ordered 2 crisp lines, jotting names while sizing up posture, stamina, and how players greeted teammates. He had studied last season's stats, circling Jamal's name in red as the lowest scorer, deciding he would keep the boy only if numbers improved during today's drills. Jamal swallowed the lump of doubt in his throat, remembering Grandma's promise that real strength sprouts from overlooked soil, just like wildflowers in cracked concrete. Warm-up laps began, sneakers pounding rhythm across the grass, and Jamal matched the fastest runners with smooth strides, though he stayed tucked in the middle of the pack. Luna waved and offered a thumbs up, her ponytail swinging, giving Jamal a spark of courage brighter than the sunrise still glowing behind the school's brick walls. Stretching followed, players forming circles like the petals of a sunflower, while Coach walked between them correcting posture and reminding everyone to breathe deeply. Jamal's muscles felt loose from dawn practice, and he bent forward with fingertip grace that surprised nearby students who thought the weak kid would wobble. Next came the dribbling maze, orange cones twisting like a carnival ride. Jamal stepped forward when his name was called, pulse rolling like thunder inside his ears. He inhaled slow, picturing the parking lot lines at home, then guided the ball between cones with gentle flicks, never once grazing plastic, finishing faster than anyone. Gasps fluttered across the group, but Coach only raised an eyebrow, chalking it up to beginner's luck and making a tiny mark beside Jamal's name without looking impressed. Shooting drills started, and bigger kids blasted balls that soared but missed the corners. When Jamal's turn came, he aimed low and precise, sliding each shot inside the post. The net rippled softly, like curtains in a spring breeze. Yet again, Coach remained unreadable, giving a curt nod before turning toward the next student on his list. Jamal's heart whooshed with a mixture of relief and wishful pride, yet caution whispered that one good morning did not erase every stumble recorded last year. After water breaks, the scrimmage began. Colored pennies split the group, and Jamal found himself on the B-team defenders, exactly where the so-called weakest often landed. He scanned the field, mapping angles like a quiet architect, while stronger forwards on the team prepared to show flashy footwork in front of the coach, their neon cleats flashing like fireworks show-offs. The whistle pierced the air, and chaos bloomed. Jamal stayed calm, intercepting passes with clever positioning, then sending simple, accurate outlets to his midfield. Teammates blinked in surprise at his awareness, though the play moved so fast that Coach focused mainly on strikers vying for spots up front, missing the quiet cleverness at the back. One high pass arced toward Jamal. He cushioned it on his chest, spun away from a challenge, and threaded a ground ball that sliced through 2 defenders to Luna sprinting wide. Luna crossed perfectly, and another player scored, drawing cheers. Yet Coach attributed the goal to the winger's pace and did not notice who started the move. Sweat dampened Jamal's brow, but a small inner flame burned brighter, convinced that true skill need not shout loudly. Patience was its own trumpet, echoing in the chambers of determined hearts. When the scrimmage ended, Coach gathered everyone, announcing he would post the roster tomorrow morning and urging each hopeful to rest and hydrate responsibly. Most kids slapped high fives, already guessing their secure positions, while Jamal quietly fetched his backpack and slung it over one shoulder like a gentle promise, tucking his hopes beside unfinished homework and a well-worn notebook of drills. He lingered by the fence watching clouds drift, asking the sky, silently, whether hidden effort would ever be noticed by eyes that judged mostly by old numbers, the kind that sometimes fail to see seeds until they sprout. A breeze carried the scent of freshly mowed grass and distant cafeteria pizza, reminding him that life was a mix of hard work and small comforts worth savoring, the kind that stitched ordinary days together. Luna jogged over, excitement sparkling, and told him she believed the coach had seen more than his face revealed, urging Jamal not to doubt miracles growing underground, reminding him that seeds break rocks by being patient and persistent. Together they walked toward the school doors, sneakers squeaking faintly in the hallway, where posters of past champions hung like medals on brick shoulders, whispering legacy to anyone who bothered to listen. Jamal paused beneath a faded team photo, imagining his own shy grin someday shining beside confident peers, proving that weak labels can peel away like old stickers, a badge earned through invisible effort. He whispered a thank you to Grandma's morning lessons, promising to trust the rhythm in his feet and the map in his heart even if applause arrived late, because roots grow underground before flowers show. The dismissal bell rang, echoing down the corridor, and Jamal hurried to class, determined to study just as hard as he trained because balanced strength lasts longer, because brains and feet must grow together like twin branches. Outside, the sun climbed higher, and the empty field waited like a new page, ready for the next chapter of a boy many still underestimated, including his own coach, and the wind seemed to chant his name in gentle beats. The next morning, mist hovered over the field like low clouds, and students gathered around a bulletin board outside the locker room, eyes wide with anticipation. Some classmates high-fived him, but a few starters wore tight smiles that cracked only at the edges, their pride bruised like apples dropped on concrete, and whispers of lost status rustled like dry grass. Names glimmered in fresh ink, and cheers erupted as favorites spotted themselves. But Jamal hesitated, fearing disappointment could crush the fragile hope blossoming inside. Luna squeezed his shoulder, guiding his gaze until he found his own name midway down the list, marked midfield substitute, a title that felt both victory and warning. Coach then added that substitutes would train twice as hard to earn match minutes, making Jamal's stomach twist with determination and nerves tangled together like shoelaces. He promised himself he would treat the bench spot as fertile soil, a place where roots dig deep before stems push into sunlight, just like Grandma's garden beans. Afternoon practice began with sprints, and Jamal pumped his arms, legs burning as he matched the fastest sprinter, surprising even Luna, who whistled in playful disbelief. Still, Coach kept his focus on star players, praising flashy step-overs, while only occasionally nodding at Jamal's consistent passes that sliced open scrimmage defenses, rolling smooth as rivers between stones that never saw them coming. Each unnoticed success felt like a secret coin slipped into an invisible jar, savings that would one day purchase a spectacular moment, though Jamal did not know when. During water break, he overheard older teammates joking that the weak kid might warm the bench forever, laughter fusing with a metallic taste of envy in the air. Jamal's ears reddened, but Luna nudged him, reminding him that thunder starts as a murmur inside clouds before startling the earth, so patience is simply stored power. The second drill involved juggling the ball 50 times without dropping. Jamal reached 65 with smooth taps, though his score remained unannounced while Coach adjusted cones and discussed weekend strategies with the assistant. A gust scattered cones across grass, and Jamal instinctively chased them down, placing each exactly where the chalk marks lay. Earning a quick smile from Coach he hoped meant respect. Training ended with a long run around the campus block. Jamal paced himself beside the captain, sharing quick jokes, proving that quiet kids can keep stride with leaders. After showers, Coach gathered substitutes, explaining they would attend extra dawn sessions, a challenge many dreaded but Jamal secretly welcomed like sunrise greeting his private practice. An assignment followed, keep a soccer journal noting strengths and weaknesses. Jamal's notebook already brimmed with diagrams, so he only added fresh pages and a hopeful sigh. That evening at home, Grandma served lentil soup, its steam curling like warm hugs, while Jamal recounted every drill, her proud eyes shining brighter than kitchen bulbs. She told him great trees sway, but do not break in storms because roots hold firm, and she saw such roots in him, anchored by dedication and humility. Jamal completed homework, then spent another hour pass shadowing against the alley wall, counting perfect rebounds under dim streetlights until the ball felt like a natural extension of his foot. He imagined crowds chanting his name, yet also reminded himself that real applause begins inside the heart before echoing from the stands, so he whispered the chant softly. Dawn practice arrived. Fog ribboned the goalposts, and only substitutes appeared until Coach strode in, whistle bright against gray, his breath forming small clouds that vanished quickly. He introduced a new drill called Silent Vision, where players dribbled blindfolded through a cone maze, using sense of touch and spatial memory, intimidating many who preferred clear sight over blind trust. Jamal swallowed fear, tied the blindfold, pictured parking lot lines, and glided through the maze with bumps but no collisions, finishing first as others stumbled like sleepy robots. Coach raised an eyebrow higher than yesterday, scribbling something, though his words remained guarded, as if he stored compliments behind locked doors, perhaps afraid praise could rust if exposed to fresh air too soon. Next came passing in the dark, blindfolds off, players passed without talking, forced to read body cues. Jamal's passes met feet perfectly, earning silent nods from grateful teammates. Luna, also a substitute despite her speed, whispered afterward that Jamal's hidden gift felt like music only certain ears could hear, and she felt lucky to be near the melody, even if the audience was still asleep. Classroom hours followed. Jamal's math quiz returned with a high score, and he grinned knowing balance between brains and sports built sturdy bridges inside young minds. Lunch saw him sharing tactics with Luna, sketching arrows on napkins while pizza cheese stretched like gooey webs, making the cafeteria feel like a planning war room. That afternoon, Coach announced a friendly against Oak Ridge Academy, saying only starters would play unless someone got hurt. Sour news for substitutes. The word injury whispered through thoughts like a secret wish. Jamal nodded silently, vowing to prepare anyway, convinced that doors sometimes open when hinges least expect movement, especially if the handle has been quietly tested beforehand. Later, at home, he reviewed Oak Ridge's older highlight videos online, studying formations, noting weaknesses on the left flank, his notebook filling with arrows and quick math. Grandma peeked in, smiling at the serious face bent over diagrams, delivering hot cocoa and a reminder that wisdom is using spare moments as stepping stones toward tomorrow. Night stretched calm. Jamal lay in bed listening to distant cars whoosh, imagining each sound as a possible passing option, training his brain even while eyelids drooped. Dreams came, green fields under bright lights, his foot striking the winning shot, teammates hoisting him high, but also dreams where he slipped, reminding him fear is fuel. He woke before the alarm, stretched beside the window, and watched dawn paint rooftops pastel, turning resolve into action before words could talk him out of hard work. At school, he helped set up cones without being asked, and Coach mumbled a quiet thank you, a tiny seed that landed in Jamal's chest where new confidence sprouted leaves. Another scrimmage pitted substitutes against starters. Jamal intercepted 3 passes and assisted a goal, yet starters still won by 1, keeping hierarchy stable. Coach blew the final whistle, told subs they had improved but must push farther, a phrase that felt like both challenge and invitation folded into 2 sharp words. His voice carried over the field like a gust rattling loose banners above the bleachers. Luna slapped Jamal's hand, whispering that mountains are climbed, not leaped, and every extra step today helped tomorrow's horizon tilt in their favor even a little, because steady progress never sleeps. Jamal left the field under a brilliant sunset, knowing that each unnoticed step still counted, stacking quietly until one day the pile would tower so high it could not be ignored. Somewhere inside, a drumbeat of certainty thumped, steady and growing louder with every twilight. Match day arrived quicker than anyone expected, with banners fluttering along the fence and parents lining the bleachers, their cheers mixing with the scent of popcorn. Oak Ridge Academy's bus rolled in, players stepping off in matching track suits, looking taller and older, which made some Riverside starters shuffle nervously. Coach Ramirez gathered his squad near midfield, voice steady, reminding them that hard work shrinks giants and teamwork stitches gaps no single star can cover. Jamal sat on the bench beside Luna, jerseys pulled tight against a chilly breeze, notebooks tucked away as minds switched from theory to living color, their breaths puffing tiny clouds that drifted like white balloons across the turf. The referee's whistle kicked off the friendly, and Riverside starters attacked with early energy, their passes quick but sometimes careless under Oak Ridge pressure. Oak Ridge scored within 10 minutes, a low shot ricocheting off a defender's shin, sliding past Riverside's keeper despite his sprawling dive, and a hush rippled across home fans like wind zipping through tall grass. Groans rose, yet Coach clapped, telling his team to reset minds like wiping fog from glass, a phrase Jamal silently repeated for himself while rolling his shoulders and breathing courage back into his chest. Seconds later, Riverside captain Marcos twisted awkwardly while blocking a cross and fell clutching his ankle, paint etched on his face like deep cracks in pavement. Trainers rushed and the stadium hushed, collective breath trapped inside thousands of lungs until Marcos hobbled off, unable to continue, tears mixing with sweat as he shook his head in angry disbelief. Coach scanned the bench and barked Jamal's name, ordering him to warm up fast. Luna squeezed his arm, whispering, "Show them," before he sprinted toward the touchline. Heart pounding, Jamal tugged on his bib, gloves shaking, yet his feet felt strangely light, as if dawn practices had filled them with hidden springs, and crowd noise faded behind the drumbeat inside his ears. He entered as central midfielder, tasked with linking defense to attack, a job he had rehearsed in parking lot outlines more times than he could count, every crack in the asphalt now echoing on this grand stage. Oakridge pressed immediately. Jamal received a hard pass, cushioned it expertly, then pivoted and threaded a through ball, splitting two defenders to Luna, who darted inside. The crowd gasped at the sudden precision, but Luna's shot kissed the crossbar and soared over, leaving only potential ripples in the net and hopeful murmurs swirling like birds seeking a branch. Still, momentum shifted. Riverside's passing slowed, grew deliberate under Jamal's rhythm, each touch calm as lake water at dawn, reflecting quiet confidence under gray skies. Commentators murmured about the new kid controlling tempo, their voices loud enough for Jamal's ears to burn with blended nerves and joy, a blush hidden beneath sweat and rain. Oakridge retaliated with speed down the wings, yet Jamal tracked back, slid cleanly to poke the ball away, drawing applause even from rival fans who appreciated honest grit. Near halftime, Jamal noticed Oakridge's left back drifting too central. He chipped a lofted pass over that gap, letting Riverside winger Mateo chase into open grass. Mateo crossed first time, and striker Jaya volleyed home, equalizing just before the whistle, sending the bleachers into a bouncing sea of school colors, horns blaring like distant ships. Teammates swarmed Jamal, ruffling his curls, but he stayed focused, telling them the second half would require even sharper minds, because a tied score could slice open again if they blinked. In the locker room, Coach knelt beside the chalkboard, drawing arrows while praising the substitute who played like he belonged there all along, words that rang like bells. Jamal's cheeks warmed, yet he kept eyes on tactics, memorizing each arrow's purpose, determined not to let compliments freeze his focus the way quick ice can trap flowing rivers. The second half began under grayer skies, drizzle sprinkled, making turf slick, turning every pass into a potential slip, but Jamal adjusted his weight expertly, toes gripping boots like cat claws. He called for the ball using quick claps rather than shouts, respecting team signals, and floated short passes that lured Oakridge midfielders out of shape, like chess pieces nudged into traps. Spotting the pattern, Coach signaled high press. Jamal nodded, then intercepted a back pass, dribbled once, and fired a low shot destined for the corner, forcing gasps to explode from the stands. Oakridge keeper parried, but Jaya tapped in a rebound. Riverside now leading 2-1, stadium erupting like shaken soda, fizzing energy up into the rain-dark sky. Oakridge grew desperate, committing more players forward. Jamal dropped deeper, coordinating defense with calm gestures, his voice steady like a metronome counting down hidden seconds. In minute 70, an Oakridge striker barreled through, but Jamal matched stride, shoulder to shoulder, legally nudging the ball away before clearing upfield, roar of approval washing over him like warm tide. The crowd roared again, chants of Jamal Jamal, blooming, and for the first time he dared lift his eyes toward Grandma in the stands, her hands clasped with pride. Rain thickened, jerseys sticking, yet Jamal's concentration cut through cold. He read passing lanes like open books and turned pages before Oakridge could, keeping storylines under his control. 5 minutes from time, Oakridge won a free kick at the edge of the box. Tension tightened every jaw as their captain stepped up, eyes glinting with stubborn hope. The shot curved over the wall, but Jamal, guarding the far post, leaped and headed it clear, sacrificing comfort when ball met forehead like a hammer, sparks flashing behind his eyelids. Dizzy for a moment, he shook off stars, then chased the loose ball, starting a counter that nearly scored again before being whistled offside, lungs burning both from effort and excitement. Final whistle blew, Riverside victorious. Players hugged Jamal, and coach declared him player of the match despite only playing 70 minutes, a tribute sweeter than any candy store treat. Reporters snapped photos, microphones shoved forward, but Jamal answered simply, crediting team effort and dawn practices, word humble yet shining like polished pennies catching sunbeams. Marcos, ankle-wrapped, congratulated him, admitting he had underestimated the quiet kid, and promised to mentor him as soon as injury healed, forging a new bridge between captain and rising star. As the crowd dispersed, Jamal and Luna jogged a cool-down lap, puddles splashing like playful applause around their shoes, the field lights casting halos on shimmering turf. Luna laughed that maybe the bench could borrow his talent only on loan because the starting lineup might claim it forever now, her grin wide as the stadium itself. Nearby, Coach spoke with the athletic director, gesturing toward Jamal, future plans swirling like chalk dust in unseen conversations, spelling possibilities too big to fit on one board. Jamal looked up at the clearing sky, rain clouds parting just enough to reveal a strip of blue. It felt hope stretch wide like that patch of color, promising more stories yet to be written. The Monday after the friendly, buzz about Jamal's debut spread through the hallways faster than lunchtime rumors, echoing off lockers and drifting into every classroom. Some classmates high-fived him, but a few starters wore tight smiles that cracked only at the edges, their pride bruised like apples dropped on concrete, and whispers of lost status rustled like dry grass. Coach Ramirez posted a new training schedule. Starters and substitutes merged, with Jamal listed as first-team midfielder, a change that sent whispers swirling like autumn leaves. At lunch, Marcos tapped a spoon against his cup and announced that teamwork mattered more than titles, urging everyone to welcome Jamal, though jealousy still flickered in lowered eyes. After classes, the team met in the video room where Coach replayed Saturday's match, pausing to highlight Jamal's passes, calling them threaded needles sowing victory, phrase stirring both awe and envy. That evening, Jamal found nasty notes in his locker claiming he was only lucky, letters cut from magazines like ransom demands, but he crumpled them quietly and chose not to tell anyone. Grandma noticed his frown at dinner and coaxed the truth out with gentle questions. She reminded him that trees shake off storm leaves but keep growing, roots wrapping deeper around solid hope. Luna texted funny memes until laughter bubbled back, proving jokes could be patches when hearts feel punctured, and she followed with a voice message reminding him champions smile between storms so rain never wins. Morning practice introduced a new fitness test. Beep sprints, a relentless sequence of whistles that forced players to reach markers before each beep, narrower intervals each round. Jamal held pace with the fittest runners for 11 rounds before chest fire forced him to stumble out. Yet some veterans dropped 2 rounds before him, widening hidden cracks in hierarchy. Coach praised effort rather than rank, saying excellence is a ladder with endless rungs, and the team should climb together rather than elbow one another off. He then split players into mixed pods tasked with designing creative plays. Jamal was grouped with 2 skeptical starters, Brad and Rico, whose crossed arms spoke louder than words. Jamal suggested a triangle passing drill to exploit space on flanks. Rico rolled his eyes, but Brad tested it and admitted the idea felt smooth, thawing ice bit by bit. When the whistle called everyone back, Brad surprised Jamal by volunteering to present their drill, crediting Jamal by name. Tension eased like a knot loosening after patient fingers worked it. Coach beamed, awarding their pod extra points, explaining that open minds are the real playmakers. He added that when brains pass the ball to humble hearts, goals appear almost by magic, a line that planted applause in every listener. Despite progress, the anonymous notes returned next day, this time stuffed in Jamal's shoe bag, telling him the bench still missed him, words scratching deeper because they hid behind masks. Luna and Marcos offered to investigate, but Jamal asked them not to, fearing confrontation might split the fragile rope of unity Coach was weaving, pulling them closer instead of splitting them apart, because broken ropes strand the whole climb. To clear his head, he jogged extra laps after practice, circling the silent track where stadium lights buzzed like sleepy bees, moonlight painting silver stripes across lanes. Shadows of hurdles stretched long and slender, and Jamal imagined each as a doubt to leap. He sprinted, soaring over invisible barriers until lungs ached happily. A voice startled him, Coach Ramirez emerging from the tunnel. He applauded the solo session, then invited Jamal to an elite weekend clinic hosted by former national players. Jamal's eyes widened like sunrise. The clinic accepted only 1 student per school. An invitation alone felt like gold medal weight resting on his shoulders. Coach warned that clinic pressure can reveal cracks or gems and asked Jamal if he was ready. Jamal nodded, but nerves fluttered inside like birds trapped in an attic. Clinic day arrived. Jamal and Coach drove 2 hours, radio humming soft jazz while city skylines melted into rolling hills, conversation mostly quiet but comfortable. The facility gleamed with turf fields, high-tech cameras, and banners of legends. Participants warmed up in sleek gear, and Jamal's hand-me-down jersey suddenly felt out of place. A retired national midfielder named Captain Diaz led drills, his voice booming yet kind. He introduced a diagnostic test called the Maze Matrix, 30 cones and spirals and zigzags. Players queued. Many stumbled halfway, but when Jamal's turn came, he flowed through the maze like water seeking river bends, finishing under record time, earning a surprised whistle from Diaz. Next test was vision volley. Coaches shouted colors matching distant targets, and players had one touch to volley balls into them. Jamal's parking lot reflexes sparked, hitting 8 of 10. Diaz clapped him on stage, asking which club he played for. Jamal shyly answered Riverside Middle, drawing gasps from older teenagers in expensive academy kits. A tactical lecture followed, and Jamal scribbled notes fast, comparing movement diagrams to chess openings he studied online, brain dancing between lines and potential. Lunch break tasted of grilled chicken and shared stories. A tall forward from Brookfield joked Jamal had cheat codes installed, making Jamal laugh, easing tension. Afternoon scrimmage mixed ages and sizes. Jamal found himself marking a high school senior who towered like a tree but moved slower. He used quick feet to steal ball twice, feeding wingers. Diaz stopped play, pointing out Jamal's anticipation, calling it quiet thunder, and instructed others to read body language like that if they wanted scholarships. Cloud shadows stretched over fields, cooling teams. Jamal assisted 2 goals and scored one, clinic ending with Diaz giving him a signed postcard inviting him back next month. In car home, coach asked how he felt. Jamal grinned so wide his cheeks hurt, saying hard work finally felt heavy in his hands, proof you could touch, like lifting a trophy carved from hours nobody else saw, a weight that felt so right he wished the drive were longer. The next school morning, he placed Diaz's postcard inside his locker like a shield against cruel notes, but none appeared, perhaps dried up by growing respect. Brad approached during math class, apologizing for past coldness. He confessed to feeling threatened and admitted he had written one of the mean notes, but not the rest. Jamal accepted apology, offering a seat at lunch, and they traded card tricks, discovering shared love of graphic novels, proving friendship can sprout where rivalry once sat. That practice coach revealed regional tournament brackets. Riverside would face unbeatable North Shore Knights in quarterfinals, a team unbeaten for 2 seasons, whose black kits gleamed like polished armor under stadium lights. Fear flickered, but Jamal raised a hand, suggesting they study Knights film right away. Coach agreed, and the squad huddled around screen, scribbling counters. As sunset painted the field orange, Jamal juggled alone again, each touch a spoken promise to face Knights without shrinking, because extraordinary skill is only extraordinary when shared. Tournament week dawned with crisp air and electric chatter, students decorating lockers with blue and gold streamers while a marching band practiced rally tunes on repeat, horns echoing through hallways like promises of glory. Coach Ramirez shortened academic periods for athletes, giving the squad extended strategy sessions where whiteboards filled with arrows like a flock of birds mid-flight, wings overlapping to form new migration routes toward victory. Jamal led film study, pausing footage to highlight how the Knights' midfield left gaps when their star striker drifted wide, a discovery that drew nods even from seniors who once ignored his suggestions, proving ideas outrank age. Marcos, ankle nearly healed, practiced light passing. He told Jamal he'd stay on bench this game, trusting Jamal to command midfield, a gesture heavy with faith that settled over Jamal like a warm, sturdy cloak. Meanwhile, rumors circulated that Knights captain Gavin Steelboot-Holt could rocket shots over 60 miles per hour, a stat that stuck in minds like bursts. Luna joked that speed limits apply to cars, not feet, easing tension, but everyone secretly ran mental calculations of reaction times, imagining soccer balls turning into comets streaking toward the goalmouth. Friday evening, the team boarded the bus, engines rumbling like war drums. Grandma waved from the curb, holding a thermos of cocoa she promised to heat for victory toast. On the ride, Jamal closed eyes, headphones feeding calm music. Meanwhile, fingers traced invisible patterns of passes across his knee, rehearsing possibilities like chess combinations that hadn't yet met the board. The stadium at Ridgeview High glowed under floodlights when they arrived, and Knights fans filled seats in black outfits, chanting "Unbreakable" in thunderous unity that rattled concession signs and vending machines alike. Riverside huddled near the sideline. Coach reminded them that nobody is unbreakable when facing a team that plays as one heartbeat. Kickoff echoed, ball thumping like a starter pistol, and Knights immediately showcased crisp one-touch triangles, probing Riverside's flanks with surgical intent, their black jerseys flowing like storm clouds. Jamal anchored central, intercepting early passes, but Holt's sheer power pushed Riverside defenders back, his boots striking grass like iron mallets, each step sending vibrations up through Jamal's cleats. In the 12th minute, Knights earned a corner. Ball swung in, chaos erupted, and Holt hammered a header into the net, Scoreboard flashing 1-0 while black smoke bombs released by fans clouded end zone. Riverside refused panic. Jamal gathered teammates, instructing fullbacks to tighten gaps and wingers to tuck inside during transitions. Adjustments coach approved with a shout that cut through drums. The changes slowed Knight's momentum. Jamal then executed the studied exploit, drifting left, drawing holdout, then threading a diagonal ball behind their midfield for Luna, timing measure in heartbeats. Luna dashed, crossed low, and Jaya slid in, equalizing, Riverside crowd erupting though smaller in number. Knight supporters fell silent briefly, but regained voice, drumming louder. Tension climbed like temperature in a sealed greenhouse, fogging thoughts if left unchecked. Minutes later, Holt unleashed a long-range strike. Jamal dove to head away, yet the shot whizzed past, smacking post and rebounding dangerously, metal clang ringing like large bell at chapel. Defender Rico cleared, but clash left Jamal dizzy. He had thrown himself without fear, knocking temples with Holt's elbow inadvertently, and fireworks flare behind his eyes momentarily. Coach signaled for medic. Jamal insisted he was fine, nose bleeding slightly, jersey dotted red like fallen petals, yet determination rooted his stance to the turf. The ref allowed treatment on field edge. Grandma's early lessons about resilience floated in Jamal's thoughts like calming lullabies, telling him storms sometimes polish stones smoother. He re-entered to cheers, though vision still edged with sparks. Coach gestured slower tempo until halftime. First half ended 1-1. In locker room, coach praised grit yet warned that bravery shouldn't outrun brains, comparing reckless courage to a race car without brakes. Jamal sipped electrolyte drink, ice pressed to bruise, promising he'd speak up if dizziness returned, but inside he felt river currents still strong, urging him back into rapids. Second half started. Knights pressed harder, Holt targeting Jamal, shoulder charging at every duel, testing resolve like a blacksmith hammer testing steel. Jamal responded with clean tackles, but minute 60 saw Holt step on his shin accidentally, sending sharp pain shooting upward, stars pricking the corners of his vision like flickering Christmas lights. He limped momentarily. Crowd gasped. Referee gave only a warning. Game pace relentless. Rain mist swirling as if sky itself debated siding with courage or caution. Sensing weakness, Knights flooded center. Jamal, teeth clenched, adapted by distributing faster, one-touch style to minimize dribbles. Rain began, thin needles under stadium lights, slicking grass and jerseys, adding chaos points to every move, turning routine clearances into risky pinballs. In minute 72, Knights earned another corner. Ball skidded off wet boot, bounced toward unmarked midfielder, who volleyed top corner, Knights 2-1. Their fans lighting phone flashlights like icy fireflies. Riverside heart sank, but coach roared. Eyes forward. Jamal felt panic claw, yet he inhaled the rain-cool air and pictured Grandma's cracked chalk lines guiding feet toward calm strides. He requested substitution of himself briefly, unlatching ego like releasing air from tight balloon. Marcos warmed up, strapped ankle, prepared to step in with courage shining through tape. Jamal told Marcos about Holt drifting wide again, sharing fresh pattern notes even while medics taped his shin, knowledge transfer under ticking clock, like passing a lit torch in midnight relay. Marcos entered, Jamal seated with ice, feeling half warrior, half coach, anger at body mixing with pride and leadership. Watching chessboard he helped shape now move without his immediate touch. With 10 minutes left, Marcos sent a long switch pass to Luna, who cut inside, drew foul at edge of box. Free kick awarded. Jamal signaled request to re-enter. Coach hesitated but trusted. Crowd buzzed as number 8 jogged back on. Tape visible, heartbeat echoing in floodlight glare. He stood over ball with Marcos, whispering decoy plan. Marcos ran over it. Jamal chipped delicate lob to Rico, who volleyed far post, 2-2. Scoreboard glimmering under raindrops that sparkled like confetti. Roar deafening. Knights shell-shocked. Referee added 5 stoppage minutes due to injuries and time wasting, each second stretching like taffy being pulled by anxious hands. In minute 93, Jamal intercepted clearance, spotted keeper offline, released 30-yard chip arching high. The crowd inhaled collectively as ball sailed. It dipped toward net, but thunderous whistle cut through. Offside flag raised against Luna, obstructing view. Goal disallowed, leaving final score tied, crafting cliffhanger suspense for looming extra time where legends are forged. Players on both sides frozen with breath hanging, realizing destiny had scheduled one more test for Bravehearts. Extra time loomed while both squads circled coaches, lungs heaving steam into night air that smelled of wet grass, fear, and dreams trying to hatch under stadium lights. Coach Ramirez asked Jamal if he could push through pain. Jamal flexed taped chin and nodded, firelight in eyes strong enough to burn doubt and melt lingering shards of hesitation. North Shore Knights looked unshaken, Holt smirking as he cracked neck muscles, yet a flicker of uncertainty whispered behind his guarded stare, like a candle flame fighting wind inside lantern glass, hinting that even iron wills can wobble. First 15-minute half began. Rain eased, but turf remained slick, balls skidding like a skipping stone across shallow puddles, every mistouch a chance for heroes or heartache. Jamal anchored deeper, reading shadows. He anticipated a Holt through ball, sliding to intercept and launching quick counter to Luna, whose low drive forced diving save, fingers of keeper brushing ball enough to send it skittering wide by inches. Relief etches were visible on Riverside bench as stamina returned in measured breaths, band booming school fight song and staccato beats that ricocheted off empty bleachers and swirling into night sky where it mixed with distant thunder. Holt retaliated, barreling toward box at minute 9. Jamal tracked, executed textbook poke tackle, but momentum tumbled both, whistles blew, crowd on feet, suspense thick as honey. Referee judged clean challenge, awarding only corner. Holt's glare could cut wire, yet Jamal offered hand up, gesture of sportsmanship shining beneath floodlights. Second extra time period restarted with score still 2-2. Fatigue painted heavy strokes on every jersey, shoulders drooping like wilted flowers that still reach for moonlight. Coach signaled energy saving 4-5-1, trusting Jamal to orchestrate traffic like a weary conductor still loving symphony's final crescendo, batten now a muddy boot guiding notes of movement. Minute 116 brought opportunity. Knights keeper mishandled slippery back pass. Ball rolled loose inside box while defenders scrambled, their panic flashing across faces like faulty neon signs. Jamal sprinted, ignoring sting, toe poke toward open net, but defenders slid last second, deflecting wide, sigh of relief rushing through black-clad stands like gusts through pine trees. Corner awarded, Riverside crowded 6-yard box. Jamal noticed space at penalty arc and drifted there instead of joining scrum, trusting geometry of movement over brute force chaos inside the crowded crease. Rico delivered out swinger, ball cleared to arc. Jamal met it with side foot volley, shot curving like comet tail toward top corner, path carved in glowing imagination lines a heartbeat ahead of reality. Keeper leaped full stretch, fingertips grazing, tipping against bar. Rebound dropped inside 6. Luna reacted fastest, smashing into roof of net, yet jubilation froze midair awaiting official verdict. Riverside erupted, yet assistant referee raised flag. Jaya offside screening keeper. Goal disallowed, heartbreak echoing previous narrative, pain puncturing lungs like sudden cold water plunge. Clock ticked final seconds. Whistle sounded end of extra time, pushing Saga to penalty shootout, a roulette of nerves where physics dances with psychology under neon glare, and legends are etched by inches, not miles. Teams gathered midfield. Captain selected order. Jamal listed third taker, slot bridging middle nerve zone, where momentum can swing door open wider or slam shut without warning. Holt won toss, Knights shot first. His blast tore netting, statement loud as thunder, reminding audience why nicknames stick when power proves them true. Jaya answered with equal venom, ball kissing side net where spiders weave silence, his grin carving answer into night sky with invisible fireworks. Knight's second shooter struck post. Clank rang like cracked bell, giving Riverside edge, cheers blooming like spring fields after long winter. Luna stepped up, struck low left, keeper guessed but fingertips short, 2-1 Riverside, stands rattling as bands switched to victory riff while umbrellas bounced with sudden enthusiasm. Knight's third shooter chose Panenka. Keeper stayed tall, catching easily, momentum tilting like seesaw with new weight. Riverside bench screaming encouragement until voices cracked. Jamal approached, shin throbbing, crowd hushed thick. He recalled parking lot dawns and grandma's mantra, aim for corners life forgets to guard, words fluttering like guiding butterflies. Run up smooth, strike inside side netting, 3-1. Leaving Knights needing miracles. Jamal walking back with pulse pounding yet face calm, mask crafted by countless dawns alone. Holt's glare intensified, yet rules locked him until fifth kick. Knights' fourth shooter scored, narrowing gap, drums beating frantic tempo in his ears. Rico answered confidently, bringing score 4-2. If Knights missed next, Riverside would advance, victory standing one heartbeat away behind penalty spot's chalk circle. Holt marched, rain glistening on buzz-cut hair. Jamal whispered silent encouragement to keeper Emilio, pointing left based on Holt's subtle hip lean observed all game. Holt blasted right instead, yet Emilio's trailing hand nicked ball, steering onto post and out. Stadium exploded into whirlpool of color and sound, confetti cannons of pure scream filling chilled air. Riverside players sprinted toward keeper, piling Celebration Mountain where joy snowballed. Jamal buried somewhere under laughing teammates, hearts beating percussion faster than band ever could, rain washing faces like confetti of nature. Coach Ramirez hugged assistants, then pulled Jamal from heap, patting shoulders, words lost under roar but eyes spelling gratitude clear. Holt knelt midfield pounding turf once, then stood, approaching Jamal. He extended handshake, admitting skill had outwitted power tonight, eyes revealing spark of respect forged in fierce fire. Flashbulbs popped as captains exchanged respect. Sports reporters buzzed about underdog maestro headline forming. Award ceremony brief yet brilliant. Medals draped over necks, Jamal shining like captured star against rain-dappled jersey. Photographers' flashes mimicking galaxy birth around proud young faces. During bus ride home, players sang off-key. Trophy passed seat to seat, each kiss leaving watermarks, proof of shared ownership, while rain drummed soft applause against windows. Jamal texted grandma's selfie beside hardware, thumbs up wide. She replied with 3 heart emojis and promise of celebratory waffles. At school Monday, posters of wind-plastered corridors. Classmate envy dissolved into collective pride. Teasing replaced by high-fives and invitations to sit at new tables where stories replayed nonstop. Coach announced team motto chalked on board, quiet work, loud results, crediting Jamal for living it daily, chalk dust floating like tiny fireflies in projector light. That afternoon, National Youth Scout emailed Coach requesting Jamal attend regional tryout, door opening onto a bigger field where dreams sprint faster and stakes climb higher. Jamal walked across empty pitch at sunset, ball under arm, whispering thank yous into breeze, knowing extraordinary skill grows best when watered with humility and shared courage, his shadow stretching long like road toward next adventure. The Saturday of the regional tryout dawned bright and breezy, and Jamal woke before his alarm, gazing at the postcard from Captain Diaz taped beside the window like a tiny soft sunrise calling him forward. Grandma packed peanut butter sandwiches and orange slices, slipping a note that read, "Courage scores," which Jamal folded into his wristband for secret strength. On the drive, Coach Ramirez told quiet jokes to soften tension, and Jamal counted passing mile markers, imagining each as one of the hard-dawn practices that had carried him to this wider horizon. The complex had 5 pristine fields and bleachers buzzing with scouts in polo shirts, clipboards poised like crows ready to swoop on shiny crumbs of talent. Players from 3 states arrived in elite jackets, and Jamal's plain warm-up drew glances, yet he stood tall, knowing daisies bloom fine without fancy pots. In the time dribble circuit, his feet blurred, cones flashing until a timer beeped a record no one else would touch all morning. Smirks faded when the stopwatch showed his time, and whispers rose that the weak kid had just set a tough bar to reach. Vertical jump tests put him mid-pack, and he smiled, certain the coming scrimmage would be the true stage for brains over calves. The teams were drafted randomly, and Jamal found himself alongside a left-footed winger from Oregon named Tessa, who greeted him with a fist bump and a promise to run any channel he could find her. Their coach, retired pro Ms. Valdez, declared, "Think 2 passes ahead," tossed the ball to midfield, and blew a shrill starting note. Jamal started cautiously, mapping habits of teammates, noting defenders who stepped late, until he saw Tessa peel wide and rolled a curling pass that met her stride like a magnet finding metal. She whipped in a cross, and their striker scored. Valdez nodded once, the pen stroke louder than the scattered cheers from folding chairs. The opposing captain, a tall center mid from Denver, charged to restore pride, but Jamal shadowed him, timing a theft that sent gasps across the bleachers and launched another swift counterattack. After 15 minutes, Jamal had assisted twice and broken 3 attacks. Whispers spread among scouts, pencil tips tapping boxes marked vision, anticipation, and the all-important leadership. Midway through the half, he felt old shin pain twitch, yet he steadied breathing, recalling Grandma's tale of a river stone staying smooth by leaning into currents, not fighting them. Valdez paused play and asked why Jamal had shifted. He cited the rival's right foot bias, and she grinned. Tactics live between toes. The scrimmage resumed, and rain clouds wandered overhead, sprinkling a gentle mist that slicked the turf just enough to quicken the ball and make every first touch a miniature truth-telling test. Jamal thrived, sliding passes through needle-sized corridors, while shouts of "man on" and "switch" wove a chorus that floated over the field like sheet music only true believers could read. The final whistle of the scrimmage blew with Jamal's team up 4 goals, and as players shook hands, Ms. Valdez called him aside, eyes shining the way stadium lights do before a night kickoff. She asked what club he'd sign for next season, Jamal glanced at Coach Ramirez, who watched proudly a few yards away, and answered that loyalty mattered, but growth mattered too, so he would listen. Lunch break followed. Players sprawled under shade tents, munching protein bars. Jamal shared grandma's sandwiches with Tessa, joking that fancy energy gels tasted like toothpaste. Scouts circulated like bees, dropping business cards, and Jamal tucked each into his backpack, promising to read them later, refusing to let dreams distract from the afternoon skill gauntlet. The gauntlet began with a vision grid projected onto the turf, lights flashing random targets that players had to pass into within seconds. A video game exercise come to life under the sun. He nailed 14 of 15 lights on the vision grid. The lone miss came when a gust nudged the ball off course. During keeper distribution drills, he volunteered to receive long throws, cushioning them softly then volleying back, showing scouts he could be outlet and origin in the same heartbeat. Mid-afternoon heat pressed heavy, and some players wilted, but Jamal gulped water, remembering beep sprints, and told his legs the finish line lived only 30 minutes ahead, a distance shorter than one sunrise drill back home. The last event was a full match on the main field, stands now half filled with university coaches. Jamal wore number 8 again, a digit that felt like an infinity sign folded for speed. Early on he pinged a diagonal 40 yards, switching play. The crowd murmured, and a college scout in a maroon cap scribbled furiously, probably noting the kid understood width like a veteran. The Denver captain, now an opponent again, tried to muscle past, but Jamal spun away, drawing a foul. As he dusted himself off, the captain whispered respect, admitting Jamal had opened his eyes. Jamal's free kick bent wickedly, rattling the bar, and Tessa smashed in the rebound. Scoreboard flipped, and teammates swarmed, calling him professor for teaching him space and time lessons. With 10 minutes left, a loose clearance dropped near halfway. Jamal chested down, spotted the keeper scrambling, and lofted an audacious chip that floated like a bright kite before nestling in the net to stunned silence. The sideline erupted, some scouts standing, others barking into headsets, the moment freezing in Jamal's mind like a photograph framed by roaring voices and sunlight glittering on raindrops. Final whistle blew, and Ms. Valdez gathered everyone, announcing 2 MVPs, one for athleticism, one for soccer IQ, both earning invitations to National Development Camp. Jamal's name echoed clear. Heart hammering, he accepted a thick certificate edged in silver foil, realizing his hands no longer shook when attention found him, because attention had become just another ball to cushion and direct with the inside of his foot. Coach Ramirez hugged him, whispering that riverside parking lots sometimes flow straight into oceans, so be ready for bigger waves but never forget the chalk lines that taught rhythm first. On the ride home, dusk bruised the sky purple, and Jamal scrolled the day's photos, pausing on one of Tessa, Valdez, and him laughing, saving it because every victory tastes sweeter when shared. Grandma waited on the porch with towering waffles and syrup lakes, cheering when the certificate was raised, her voice echoing across the courtyard until upstairs windows lit and neighbors stepped out to clap under bright porch light. That night Jamal lay in bed, metal resting on his chest, headlights from passing cars sliding across the ceiling like silent spotlights, and he whispered thanks for courage, teammates, and chance. He promised himself he would help the next weak kid who felt invisible, because hidden sparks deserve wind, and greatness grows faster when mentors share water instead of guarding wells. Sleep finally tugged him under, and in the dream that followed, he stepped onto a giant field stitched from every place he had practiced, the crowd chanting one simple truth: extraordinary skill begins with ordinary effort.